Life channel today. Appreciate your time. So the first sort of question, just jumping straight in, is I'd love to know, how important has work been for you in your life in general?
I would say, except for my daughter and my husband, it has been the biggest part and the most rewarding and the most work, okay? And I have two identities because I am a specialized headhunter. My business name is Pat Allen, which is not my real name.
Oh.
So I've gone through 45 years of my life with two names.
Oh, very interesting.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
When I got into the business, you were not allowed to use your real name.
Oh.
It was a very shaky business back then, and being a Catholic, I almost felt guilty when I started doing it. And I'm like, my God, I'm stealing these people for these companies.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I got over that in a hurry, believe me.
But you're also doing a service to the company you're hiring
And
for.
to the people, because you actually truly affect their lives, and that's why you have to take it very seriously.
Yeah, very much so. And is it something you always wanted to do, or you
Never.
just sort of fell into it?
I fell into it. I've had a couple of careers. When I got out of college, I went to work for Macy's on 34th Street.
Oh, cool. Like the movie.
I did that for 5 years and knew it was not for me. So my two Irish friends convinced me to move to Rome, Italy, which I did.
Oh.
So I took the Michelangelo first class all by myself and went to Rome. And when I got to Rome, I got a job with the Stars and Stripes newspaper, opening bookstores for them. And then after that, by hook or crook or luck, I was hired by the American Embassy to run their commissary and assist with their functions like the Marine Ball, etc., etc.
Fantastic.
So I worked for the embassy for about 5 years. So I was 6 years in Rome. And then I came back at 30 and needed a new career. And I wanted to ski at Stratton. I wanted to come to the Hamptons. So I wanted a job that was 9 to 5.
Right.
Monday to Friday. That was my main priority. So the New York Times ran an ad for a company that was looking for a recruiter. Turned out to be an employment agency, which was totally against everything I could imagine. But the place was so full of smoke, it was like awful. Okay?
How times have changed.
Okay. But he offered me a job.
Oh, fantastic.
And he said it could be 9 to 5, and it's 100% commission, and see what you think. So I took it because it met my criteria.
Yes.
And I was there 4.5 months when I met my husband, and we went to New Orleans to take a company public. So I left there.
But that was the start of you getting
5
into
months. I was
recruitment.
trained by them for 5 months in the insurance industry.
Right.
And when I left, I ended up liking only this one area that I do, which is safety and fire protection. That's all I do.
Okay.
I don't do underwriters and claims and all that.
Right.
So when I left, he actually gave me a list of everyone I recruited. Because he said to me, you're going to be better at this than I am.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes. So then I ended up in New Orleans, Louisiana, and started my business, which I obviously was specialized because I wasn't staying there.
Right.
So I worked the U.S. and
so that's how it began. So
That's how it began.
You built a whole career through recruitment, and that's brilliant. And so, given that it was recruitment, I'd love to know, would you have any advice for younger people starting out in their careers? Any couple of nuggets that you might suggest, just from your own life experience or even from your recruiting experience?
Well, I think unless you absolutely love what you do, you will never be ultra successful at it.
Right.
Which means you will never make the big bucks if money is what you're looking for, okay? Obviously, it's not just money, it's satisfaction and everything else. The other thing is you really should try and narrow down exactly what you want to do, which is what I did.
Yeah.
And if it fits into that category, you should give it a try. But I will say, for people who start new ventures, start their own business, you're going to work 70 hours a week. This working 40 hours a week does not exist.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can say is, if you speak from your heart and not from your head, you will be very successful. Which means you are not motivated by money. You are motivated by doing the right thing and trying to accomplish to the best of your ability for all the parties what your goals are.
Speak from your heart. That's great advice. That's really good. And it's very authentic.
Well, because then you never have to worry about lying, because people who lie have very bad memories, okay? So if you just always tell the truth, you'll always be fine.
Yeah, yeah. And so you have not retired yourself. You're still working away. Do you think you ever would like to retire? Or
maybe when I'm 85.
Yeah, some people like the idea of retirement, and other people are just, as you say, passionate about what they do and they just want to keep doing it.
Well, I think if I could still play golf or tennis or some of my sports that I loved, that would be different. I would take days off to play golf, believe me.
Yeah.
But once I couldn't do that any longer, I never really found... I used to love going to antique shows, etc., but I don't need anything. I need to sell stuff.
Yeah.
So what happens is, I do have 3 wonderful grandchildren, but they don't live here where I live. So
right.
I travel to see them, and my husband is 14 years older than I am. So so that's how it is. But in my business, I can choose how many hours I want to work, who I want to work for. It's because I don't work for a company.
Yes.
But the trend today, people are retiring and going back to work for their own companies for 2 days a week. It's happening every day of the week.
Yeah. So that's perfect, actually, a part-time gig.
Perfect. There's nothing wrong with new money.
Yes.
Everybody
it's
worries.
Always nice.
Right. And in the U.S., as you know, well, now they've raised it to, I think, 74. You have a retired minimum distribution you must take every year out of your pension or your 401k. And people don't like to do that, okay? Because it goes very quickly when you start
and it's
traveling, etc.
It's uneasy when you're used to seeing money always coming in, and then it's not. You're just spending it. You sort of go, how long will this happen? Yes, it's a big adjustment for people.
And people have to be disciplined.
Yeah. So, given you've lived a good span, Pat, you've seen a lot of changes. I'm very curious to know, on a technology front, is there anything that you've seen come about that you think, wow, that really changed or impacted my life?
Oh my God, everything. but the real problem is, I am not technically proficient.
Right.
And if it wasn't for my daughter, who, when I call her, she picks up the ball and does everything I need to do, I probably would have retired.
Right.
Because the change is so dramatic.
Yes.
I mean, even to adjust to the Apple phone, I don't know how to use half of that phone still.
Yeah.
But I know I'm not alone.
No, for sure. It's interesting when you say everything, because it has all moved so quickly.
So quickly, and it's really what changed the world, truthfully. And there's more to come. We don't know yet how AI is going to affect all of us.
Yes.
Okay? But it will.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think much more than any of us realize, so it remains to be seen.
Right.
So just a couple last questions, Pat. If you were to say, like, to younger people, how to be happy, or any advice on being happy, have you any sort of thoughts on that? Like, basically,
well, I think the first thing, if you really want to be happy, is you have to be happy with yourself. Because if you are not happy with yourself, you will never be happy with anyone else or the world. So to me, that's the first step. The second step, I think, is trying to understand what does make you happy. Because we all have a different formula for what happiness is.
Yes.
And to me, life is transactions. Everything you do is a transaction. What are you giving and what are you getting?
Yes.
Okay. I know that sounds a little cold, but
No.
it really isn't if you really analyze it.
Yes.
So basically, you have to be true to yourself, you have to know yourself, and you have to like yourself.
I think that's great advice, and something a lot of people never discover. Yeah. And then the last question,
Sure.
and if you have nothing, don't worry about it, but is there anything you'd say to your younger self if you could speak to yourself when you're like in your 20s? You know?
I would say, please learn all the technology. That's what I would say. Learn all the technology, okay? And I think you have to keep your sense of humor in life. I think that's really one of the keys, is to maintain a really good sense of humor.
I think that's great advice.
Right.
Yeah, not take yourself too seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
And other than that, that's all I can really think of. Okay.
That is beautiful, Pat. Thank you so much
Well,
for
thank you. It was
participating.
my pleasure. Hopefully my advice will help someone else.
I have no doubt that it will. Thank you so much, Pat.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the video on the Life channel. Please subscribe, and if you're interested in participating, just click the link in the description below. Thank you.